This is a video response to Byenia. I've always liked her videos. I don't agree with everything she has to say, but I really enjoy listening to her talk about things. So Byenia, what would you like to talk about today?
You want to know why I have a bit of trouble respecting individuals like Barbarosa? Well, it comes down to the fact that, well, first off, I think he's smarter than a lot of his sycophants. Some of the guys that follow him are fucking morons. I'm just being honest, you know. I'll always draw back to that, I think it was a TED speech. I think her name was Helen Fisher, where she talks about, you know, women having kind of a more narrow range of intelligence, whereas men tend to... mankind has more of just a wider, broader spectrum, which is to say, most geniuses are men, but that's also to say that the lowest bottom-feeding, you know, idiots tend to be men too, and that is very true. That's something I always have to keep in mind because, they're an annoying bunch of damn people. I'm all for people with their hearts in the right place, regardless of how smart they are or are not. But that's the problem, is when you get, you know, an idiot who's also just evil. Holy shit.
Oh, by the way, for those of you not familiar with her, she tends to ramble a lot, but her rambling is often interesting. I'm just saying, really ADD and stuff. And if you're wondering what any of that has to do with Barbar, I don't think it does. But let's continue.
Shit. I guess part of the problem I have is this with Barbarosa's MGTOW philosophy.
Both hands on the wheel. Fucking women drivers, I swear.
It's so, I've listened to a number of his videos over time. I don't make a habit of doing so all that often anymore because I'm not able to respond on his videos, because when I do so, his minions, you know, are really quick to throw a fit, including Barbarosa himself on one that I responded to, where he was talking about Rockin' Mr. E, and he was saying something about how, I guess the default position with an MGTOW he assumes to be non-violent. I was just saying what makes it non-violent specifically. I'm not arguing that these men are violent. That is not what I'm saying, as I have explained since, as I've apologized for that misunderstanding. I still get hate from that periodically. Like, I don't know, people just still like want to let me understand that I'm a fucking idiot.
Forget about both hands on the wheel. Even one hand on the wheel at this point would lower my blood pressure.
And I'm an asshole, and I'm a detractor from what they're trying to do, and I'm trying to tell you is I'm not trying to do any of that. Trying to have a conversation with any of you fools is virtually impossible. MGTOW or the MRM or any of this is not inherently non-violent in and of itself. If it is, I'd like to see what doctrines are you guys putting forth? I mean, as far as I can understand, it's a very loose collective that's not kind of organized, you know, it's not...
Okay, let's just skip the rambling. What she's saying here is, even if MGTOW isn't necessarily violent, what makes them specifically non-violent, like the way a group of monks might have a religious doctrine of non-violence and pacifism. Anyway, I think you are mistaken non-violent with anti-violent, unless Barbarosa specifically said inherently non-violent, or maybe he actually used the words by default non-violent, which may have been a response to accusations of MGTOW being violent to begin with. I hear so many times MRAs and MGTOW get referred to as violent thugs by feminists, and what they mean is types angry messages on YouTube comments equals violence. I don't know what video you were responding to, so I can't say for sure. The point was, asking this simple question and you received a lot of hostility. Well, that is unfortunate, but that's true anytime you go to someone's channel and begin questioning in a challenging way their ideology.
But isn't it strange where we're headed with all this? I mean, isn't it odd? And people can't even talk to one another. There can be no meeting of minds because everybody is so quick to be like on the defense and be like, oh my God, you know, that group of people over there, protect ourselves from, because somehow, some way, there's Sly Fox trying to get in there and fuck us up.
The way you shoot videos while driving, you totally put me in the mind of Matt Dillahunty.
Drive home brain dump today. This one will probably be pretty short. The question is, was I ever a true Christian? This was prompted by a Twitter discussion where somebody who doesn't know me or the show.
What is it with everyone shooting videos while they drive? Maybe I should start doing that. So I'm just driving in my Ford Raptor, and I figure why not shoot a video? And I've also been drinking because, don't tell me not to drink and drive, tell pedestrians not to get in my way. I'm not sure that really made any sense, but hey, I'm drunk. I can't consent to any dumbass thing I say in this video. Anyhow, I've really been enjoying Tumblr, those cultural— oh shit, wrong turn, ET phone home. As I was saying, those cultural Marxist social justice warrior assholes are so easy to infuriate.
You know, somehow, some way, this situation isn't to be trusted, and these bitches they're on the take. And anything you say can and will be used against you, you know, in dealing with them. And all this crazy stuff you guys are doing. We all get a bit defensive. We all get frustrated. I understand that's just the way life goes. But to encourage it, to really just whip everybody into a frenzy. I see the MRM doing the exact same thing that I figured out the feminist movement was doing back when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, when they were whipping us into a frenzy about the rape culture and freaking us out and getting us so scared and trying to worry us about every man out here that they could be a potential predator. And, you know, Lifetime's running all these movies and they're showing all this stuff, and it's all over the TV, it's all over the books. It's like true crime drama stuff everywhere. And, you know, you have all these visions in your head and these nightmares of somebody holding you down and really sadistically harming you, and oh my God, and then you start looking at everybody as that potential sadist. And that's what I see the MRM doing, is every woman is this potential looter. She's this person who's going to come in here and have your kids and, you know, get in a house with you and then boot you the fuck out, keep the house, keep the kids, and make you pay her all this money because, you know, that's the norm. Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know a whole hell of a lot of people out here living like that. I guess you're going to have to introduce me to some of these higher class folks. But, people are being whipped into that same sort of frenzy where they're just worked up and they're freaked out and they're just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, it's a woman, it's got tits, you know, slay it, you know, take it down, because it's a threat. You cowards, most of you, a bunch of fucking cowards, a lot of you. I don't know if you're afraid of your mothers or your fathers were just spineless, I don't know. I tried to figure this out. You had one ex-girlfriend that scared the shit out of you. You know, a lot of us dated somebody who traumatized us. I had a man once upon a time, like 9 years ago, who was, I mean, he fucked my mind up pretty good for a lot of years. Yeah, I get it, you know, and I don't want to live under that storm cloud that he helped create. You know, I don't want to live under that for the rest of my life, just because I met some douche.
Feminists using a victim narrative to whip women into a frenzy over things like men might rape them, or beat them, and you see the MRM. MGTOW doing the same thing with marriage and divorce. You then call these men cowards. Well, here's the thing, while a guy might rape you, or beat you, or kill you, he doesn't have the right to do it. It's not too hard to trust someone not to risk prison by breaking the law to hurt you. It's a whole other story when you are being asked to trust someone not to use the law that favors them to hurt you. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Women taking their ex to the cleaners being a common thing is not a testament to women being evil. It's a testament to what happens when you give someone a license to kill. I am not afraid of Asian Americans. However, if one day they were all given guns and a license to kill, then I would be. The MGTOW protest against marriage isn't based on fearing that women are out to get them. It's a protest against the contract being unfair to men. Also, the reason the issue is harped on so much is because what you just said about needing to get over this or that fear and push on, and if not you're being a coward, and arguments of that nature are hurled at MGTOW all the time. So 90% of the preaching about why men shouldn't get married, and all the dangers, is just retaliation against feminists, traditionalists, and any other group who tells MGTOW they have to go out and get married, and they have to learn to trust, and oh how they must have a phobia of women or mommy issues, or they need to grow up, man up, stop being cowards. Arguments that a good old-fashioned marriage is necessary because any alteration of the 1950s golden era type of marriage will lead to extinction. Men work, women stay home, one man, one woman, nuclear family, yada yada yada, and MGTOW are bombarded with this stuff non-stop. So again, the reason the issue of marriage being an unnecessary risk to males, and an unfair contract, is repeated over and over, because it is normally a response to women, feminists, and traditionalists, that are bombarding MGTOW with those accusations. Otherwise a guy like Barbarosa would say one-time marriage is an unfair contract that comes with great risk to men, no real benefit to men, extreme benefit to women, and little risk to women. for this and that reason, and serves as a great example of female bias in our system and culture, and that would be that. We'd all get it, but the non-stop pushback against that statement is what keeps the arguments and the examples going. Also, I want to point out, there are no shortage of women calling MGTOW cowards for not manning up and getting married, and others that will say yeah, marriage isn't fair to men, but it's not like you're forced into it, so it's not slavery, it's not oppression. All I can say is, if the shoe were on the other foot and it was women getting the short end of the stick in marriage the way men are, holy fucking shit, the feminists would be going off about it. The average woman would scream bloody murder about it, but when men get the short end of the stick, oh well, quit crying about it, quit being a coward, just man up, etc.
And if you come across like this dick, like this defensive, I don't know, ninny baby, a lot of y'all strike me as, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna be real, and I'm not speaking about Barbarosa himself, I'm talking about your minions. Barbarosa, you yourself, I don't know what your deal is. You're upset, and obviously you're trying to carve your own way, and I don't fault you for that. I just don't understand all the animosity that has to come along with that message. And it just gets to a point where it's like, are you just wanting to add fuel to a gender war? And if so, how come? As if we're not all suffering and upset as is, what do you think you're contributing in any kind of way that's really truly going to be beneficial, other than getting a bunch of men feeling like they don't need or want women, and that not only do they not need or want us, but some of them, definitely feel like they have like an aggressive attitude towards us.
Well, I can't speak for Barbarosa, but speaking for myself, yes, I am trying to add fuel to the fire. Our laws and culture is so anti-male, and nothing is getting done about it. The media and academic system, thoroughly plagued with feminism, is teaching young women, in an already anti-male culture, to fear and hate men, and males are just sitting on their asses taking it like a man, so to speak. Well, this is never going away, it's never going to stop. Feminism won't just go away on its own. The women aren't going to stop it. They've had generations to put their foot down and stop it. They're already whipped into a frenzy. Men are going to have to stand up to this. And men aren't going to stand up for themselves until you put some fuel on the fire, light a fire under their asses, and maybe they'll stand up against it. Furthermore, there are negative attitudes towards males in our society. Males are constantly being bombarded with claims of why men are evil and dangerous and bad, etc. Well, the hard thing about arguing this is, most of it is true. Men, being people, tend to be selfish and wicked. Men are under attack, and denying males do this and that and the other thing isn't helpful, since most of the accusations are true or mostly true. The only thing that can be done is to point out to women, you are just as guilty of this as men are. We live in a culture that is so anti-male, so female-favored, that just saying a woman's shit stinks too, is called misogyny. Your other point, while a bit rambly, can be summarized as, it's wrong when the feminists do it, so it's wrong when you do it, or you're being as bad as the feminists. Or if you claim feminists are wrong for doing it, then you shouldn't turn around and do it. This is a classic argument, and the problem with it is, oh, how can I put this? If someone punches you in the face, what do? Well, you'd probably fight back by punching them in the face. A third-party observer could not then say if it was wrong for him to hit you in the face, then it must be equally as wrong for you to hit back in retaliation. Look, feminists have been attacking men in any and every way. Men have just stood the passive, taking it on the chin generation after generation. No stone has been left unturned. Feminists haven't just attacked men for one thing, or attacked them in one way. Feminists have been so hostile to the entire existence of the male sex. Everything about males have been demonized. Now when men finally, after all these generations, are beginning to stand up for themselves, now we are being told that two wrongs don't make a right. Well, all I can say is, bullshit. You have a video called MRM versus Feminism and Additional Thoughts where you're basically saying sure, it's wrong when the feminists do it. But when you do it in retaliation, out of self-preservation, you're only going to make things worse. That's at least what I got from that video. That sounded like the gist of it to me, and I have heard this argument from so many people, mostly traditionalists. And again, my argument is, too bad. Maybe shit has to get worse. Maybe it'll get so bad that the aggression feminism brings will no longer benefit women, and then women will turn against feminism. The general message I hear from you and a lot of others, to my ears at least, translates to, men standing up and fighting their gender injustices will only make our society worse. Therefore allow the feminists to hammer at you, while bellyaching, but don't start pushing back. It's on you men to make the sacrifices for the children, for the community, for the economy, for the country. You men make the sacrifices. women get to fuck society over, and you men have to man up and deal with it. The thing is, this gender war will go on for generations. It will get worse, it will get ugly, it will hurt our society, and tough titties. Maybe the feminists and your average woman should have thought of that 30 or 40 years ago. We didn't start the war, all we're doing is fighting back, and shit getting worse is, in some way, what is actually needed. Feminism won't stop for all the bellyaching in the world. The female of the species will not give up having their cake and eating it too, until there is consequence, until they feel consequence. They won't stop. The damn problem is, too many fence-sitters afraid to stand up and rock the boat. It's just plain easier to sit there and ignore it. Well, let me tell you, when things get worse, when people actually feel the consequence, then they'll get off that fence and care enough to do something.